The Stars spoil the emotional return of Gabriel Landeskog.
The Capitals prove they can get it done without production from the Great Eight.
And the Kings continue their dominance on home ice.
All that and so much more on this Wednesday night Stanley Cup Playoff edition of Locked On NHL Game Night.
When that final horn sounds, you know it's time for Locked On NHL Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On NHL Game Night. Your team every day.
Hello there, hockey fans. Welcome to another edition of Locked On NHL Game Night. I'm Cam Stewart, a Boston Bruins fan who is still sad out on the third coast.
Darn. I was hoping you wouldn't be sad, Cam. I'm Tyler Feldman, a lifelong Penguins fan, born and raised in Pittsburgh, but currently loving life in Austin, Texas. And Cam's Stanley Cup Playoff TV ratings. They may be down big so far, but the games have delivered nonetheless. 3 more good ones tonight. We saw the Caps beat Montreal, Dallas dumped Colorado in overtime, and the Kings smoked the Oilers out in La La Land.
Oh, Kings all over Edmonton in that one, Tyler. 6-2 the final there. Caps 3-1. They muscle it out. They get it done to make their series 2-0 as well as the Kings series at 2-0. But we got to start out in Denver. This has delivered, like you said, big time through the first 2, and game 3 would be no different. It starts off with a bang in Colorado. Gabriel Landeskog, his first game since June 26, 2022, when he lifted the Stanley Cup as the captain of the Avs. It's been almost 3 years since he has taken the ice in the NHL, gets a hit on the first shift, and this was a hotly contested game all the way throughout. 1-0 for a good bit of it. Dallas scores in the back half of the third period. It gets a little shaky as we go to overtime. They're shorthanded, but Tyler Seguin, Stanley Cup champion Tyler Seguin, who missed a lot of time himself, not 3 years, but 58 games this season, comes back to score the overtime winner. And the Dallas Stars, who have led for a whopping 62 seconds of this series, now lead the series 2-1. What an emotional night on both sides. But our local expert from Locked On Stars, Joey Erickson, is having himself one heck of a night.
An incredible overtime victory for the Dallas Stars in Game 3. Tyler Seguin, the OT hero, set up by Mason Marchment, who took a double minor for high sticking at the end of regulation, forcing the Stars to kill off over 3 minutes to begin overtime. The penalty kill was phenomenal tonight for the Dallas Stars. A gritty road victory for Dallas and a much-needed win in Game 3 to steal one on the road. This had a little bit of everything. The Stars survive, and Tyler Seguin reaps the benefits of it all. Woo!
Wow. Woo! That is one way to talk about it, man. I mean, look, I don't know where the stats are for this kind of thing, but I texted you thinking, when was the last time a team went back-to-back playoff games going into overtime with a power play? Mason Marchment, it's a high stick, it is a penalty, and right away Brock Nelson is cut open, and I'm like, oh God, that's going to be 4. And they kill the whole thing, and who else makes the play down in the corner? Mikko Rantanen pushes it down, the former Av gets his first point of the series, and then Mason Marchment sets up Tyler Seguin. 2-1, the Stars win it, and 2-1 in the series. Tyler, they didn't lead in this game, but they probably deserved to win this game. This was a heck of an effort from Dallas.
It really was, and going back to that overtime winner, Mikko Rantanen, the former Colorado Avalanche, the way in which he pushed that puck from the skate of his to his stick, and then he found Marchment and Mason Marchment, a little vindication, perfect feed to Tyler Seguin. And Seguin, we've seen him win big games before. He plays hero. A shocking finish, quite frankly, though, given the fact that maybe Dallas did outplay Colorado, but the Avalanche have led for a good portion, a major portion of every single minute except for 70 seconds. That's insane. Back-to-back overtime wins for the Dallas Stars. They take a 2-1 series lead, and they spoil Gabriel Landeskog's return, which you had all that emotion pre-game when they announced his name, and you heard the Landy chants from the Bell Center. It was unbelievable. It was incredible. Ball Arena. What did I say? The Bell Center?
Yeah, which we'll get to at some point in
Montreal
the show.
At a point later on in the show. Well, actually, we'll get into Washington, but then the Bell Center later on this week.
Trust me.
But the way in which the fans brought the energy, the emotion, Landeskog's kid had the sign that said, "So proud of you, Daddy." I had chills running down my body from my head to my toes. It was just a beautiful moment for a guy who had multiple knee surgeries, 29 years old. You win the Stanley Cup and you think, yeah, I'll be right back out there. If you've ever had a serious injury or you've ever known someone, family, friend, who has suffered a major knee injury, you know the mental battle that you have to go through. And Landeskog said that he wasn't ready to give up the sport at 29. So that perseverance, that commitment to coming back, 3 years, insane. On the broadcast, Bob Wischusen said, and it cracked me up. Maybe it's not funny, but he said that Landeskog, that 3-year break from an injury, was the longest for a team captain in the NHL since the other two guys who went to war. And when he said that, I was just like, what? That's insane.
It's kind of funny.
That's insane. And then Landeskog, who was on the third line tonight, kind of getting back into things, he's put out to start the game, opening faceoff. And who does he crush on that opening shift? His former teammate, Mikko Rantanen. And then the Landy chants came back. So a full circle emotional night spoiled by Tyler Seguin in overtime.
For sure. And like, look, to build off that emotion in the first period, because you have all of that, and then the Stars get a power play, and it's like, okay, this is their chance to quell that, right? And then Valeri Nichushkin draws a penalty on Mikko Rantanen. It was not a penalty. It was a so-called trip, a phantom trip. And then the place is just up for grabs, right? Rantanen's going to the box. Now it's 4-on-4. And Nichushkin has this crazy play where there's a bunch of open ice in that 4-on-4. And he runs basically a pick play. Like he runs through the circle and then back through the slot. And I think it was Brock Nelson.
Yeah, Brock Nelson set a perfect screen. I'm like, is this a little pick and roll? But there was no roll.
Basketball. Yeah.
There was no roll.
And there's no communication between the Stars, and Matt Duchene, instead of trying to get back in the slot, just puts his hands up as Nichushkin basically has this breakaway, and he puts it in for 1-0. So you're like, man, it was a BS penalty. It's kind of a BS pick play for a goal, and the place is up for grabs. And credit to the Dallas Stars. They turned it around. That's adversity right there, right? Just the environment they're put into in the first period. It's not like they respond on the scoreboard right away. They do it late in the game. How about the 2 goal scorers, man? Not the stars of this team anymore. These were the guys that were the Stars 10 years ago. Jamie Benn gets the tip in to tie it, still the captain, doing some captain things, and then Tyler Seguin wins it in overtime, again, after they kill off a 4-minute power play for the Colorado Avalanche. You want your stat of the night, Tyler? You want that?
I do, and then I'd like to add something.
Okay, real quick. Since 2020, the Avs are 25-6 in the playoffs when leading after 2 periods. 25-6. 4 of those 6 losses have come to the Dallas Stars.
That's an unbelievable stat of the night. Cam, you are bringing it on a Wednesday evening here on NHL
Numbers
Game
never lie.
I appreciate you. That's a great stat.
Parting thoughts on this game and the Dallas Stars going up 2-1 in the series?
Well, on that Jamie Benn power play goal, that tip in, Thomas Harley's shot, it was perfect. You heard, "Refs, you suck," from the crowd. Nathan McKinnon was called for that penalty, an interference call against Colin Blackwell, the hero from Game 2. I guess it was interference. I think you have to call it. Again, it's hard to step in to the ref shoes. By the way, CJ Murray, a linesman in this game, Pittsburgh native, Upper St. Clair alumnus, played a little hockey with him growing up. Super cool to see him officiating playoff hockey. But again, those tough interference calls, you have to call it, I suppose, and that gives the man advantage for the Stars. They take advantage. Colorado, you have to be so frustrated leading for as long as you've led in this series, at least in game time, but you're down 2-1. And the Stars, they haven't really played great hockey in 2.5 weeks, yet these past 2 games, they've manufactured wins, which tells you and me, Cam, that this team is a good enough team to make a deep run. They're maybe starting to figure things out. Nothing looks clean. Nothing looks pretty, but they're winning hockey games. And this time of year, it's not like you're getting 2 points. You're getting a win, and that's all you need.
Yeah, they look like they have the heart of a champion. They just need to go out and become a champion. Speaking of that, let's check in on the Western Conference champions from last year because it ain't looking good up there in oil country. We'll take you out to La La Land coming up next on Locked On NHL Game Night. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy. Whether you're picking your favorite team or diving into player props, do not miss out. It's so easy to do, so easy that I'm winning money off of it. And I like money, and I like things easy, and I like money coming to me fast. So don't miss out on this deal. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Head to FanDuel.com, claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Find all the player props, put them in a same game parlay, make every game more exciting. If this isn't enough for you in the Stanley Cup playoffs, one more time, head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Going off script a little bit with Tyler Feldman here.
Wow, what a read. What a read.
Thought I'd bring some juice to that. FanDuel keeps us in a job, which I really like. And there might be some people out in Edmonton that are looking for new jobs, actually.
Boy.
This has not shifted to Alberta yet, but it does not look good for the defending Western Conference champions, the Kings, all over them. There was no faux comeback in this one. It was 6-5 in game 1. The Kings come out, it's 3-0, then it's 3-2. And then they make no mistakes. 6-2 is the final. We got a goalie pulled in this one. It was all LA Kings. And our man, Eddie Garcia, was there from Locked On Kings. Let's hear how Eddie assesses this 2-0 series lead.
The LA Kings use home ice and special teams to take a 2-0 series lead. Hey, it's Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. Kings last year against the Edmonton Oilers in a 5-game series had a total of 0 power play goals, while the Oilers had 9. It was a big reason why Edmonton advanced in that series. So far through 2 games, a complete flip of the script. The Kings have 5 power play goals, 3 of them tonight, while the Oilers have 0 to this point. Adrian Kempe was the star in game number 2 for the Kings with a 4-point night, 2 goals and 2 assists. Meanwhile, Connor McDavid, who had a 4-point night in game 1, although in a losing effort, was contained by the Kings and had no points in this one. Home ice has been very, very good for the LA Kings this year. They were the best home team in the NHL during the regular season. Now with these 2 postseason wins, the Kings in 43 home games in this arena have 33 victories. And now again, 2-0 lead over the Edmonton Oilers. For more on this victory for the Kings in game number 2, check out Locked On LA Kings.
Kempe, 4 points. The captain, Anze Kopitar, 4 points, 10 points for that line on the night. I mean, just all Kings in this one, Tyler. And that power play that Eddie was talking about, that looks scary.
When you're operating a power play that is 5 for 9 so far in this series, you're operating at a rate greater than 50%. You get 3 more power play goals tonight, and you're holding the Oilers to no man advantage goals. What a combination, Cam. And I will say, when Arvidsson made it 3-2 early in that third period, I said, oh boy. And I feel like you texted me.
I said, it's getting interesting.
You said, it's getting interesting.
Here we
go,
man. Yeah.
And then soon after that, about 2.5 minutes later, Kempe scores his first goal of the night. And
after
then
Arvidsson whiffed on it, by the way. Arvidsson turns the puck over, which is
and
kind
then
of
Kopitar. makes it 5-2. And then Kempe comes in with his second goal of the night. He's got 3 goals already in this series. What is it about the LA Kings on their home ice? 33-6-4 this season on their home ice. That was the best record on home ice during the regular season. And the Kings, they're not just winning. They've got 12 goals in 2 games. Ugh. And you know what that tells me, Cam? Goaltender issue in Edmonton. Boy, is that a major problem. It's been a problem for that franchise for a while. You heard time and time again a certain chant for a certain goalie, and it is just not what you want to hear if you're Stuart Skinner. Skinner. After that 5th goal, he gets pulled, and that's it. He had, 23 saves tonight. That's it.
The soundtrack of the night was the harmonicas again for the national anthem. I think that's the real secret sauce for the Kings. And then not only do we get Skinner all the time, but then when Calvin Pickard gives up a goal, we get "We Want Skinner." That is nasty stuff.
That is disgusting work by the Kings fans.
Oh my gosh. And it is a long flight home for Edmonton. Even though it's only 2-0, they have been embarrassed in this series so far. And Nick Zararis of Locked On Oilers tries to break down this for us.
The Oilers are in deep. Nick Zararis of Locked On Oilers here after a humbling 6-2 loss at the hands of the Los Angeles Kings on a night where it was so imperative that they got off to a better start than in Game 1. I felt like the Oilers did a reasonable job. They started out loaded with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Corey Perry together. That line started the game with a great shift, 40 seconds of sustained offensive zone pressure. And that was maybe the Oilers' most memorable offensive zone shift in this entire game. The Oilers at large have struggled to get pucks in deep, have struggled to get pucks in between the circles, to the hashes, to the more dangerous parts of the ice. And you give credit to the Kings, who are one of the best defensive teams in the entire NHL. This is going to be a short series if the Oilers can't start putting up some goals. As bad as the defense and the goaltending were tonight, you're going to be hard-pressed to win playoff games only scoring 2 goals a night. And the way you scored them, not exactly the most sustainable. 2 deflections, 2 crash the net, ugly type of goals. And yeah, when your offense is struggling, that's generally how you're going to get off the schneid. But for a team that's built on its high-end talent, the Oilers are asking an awful lot of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And as things sit right now, it's hard for me to see a world where the Oilers are going to be able to mount a serious comeback in this series if the team's depth doesn't take meaningful steps to make an impact, especially at 5-on-5. For more on the Oilers and Kings series, be sure to check out Locked On Oilers wherever you get your podcasts or over on YouTube.
It is all going wrong for Edmonton. It's all their worst nightmares coming true. As you said, the goalie hasn't been able to stop a beach ball. The defense has been 6s and 7s. They've been all over the place. And that Byfield goal, which I think was the 2nd or 3rd one, was pretty good evidence of that.
Yeah, he swooped in there, picked up the loose puck, lifted it over the shoulder of Stuart Skinner.
Everyone's just backing up. Everyone's just backing up.
The rise of Byfield. And can I also just say about Nick there, what an eloquent reaction from the Oilers side. He also looked like maybe he was 4th or 5th line blue line for the Oilers tonight. Just guy looks like a hockey player. Guy looks like he's on the blue line. Holding McDavid to no points is huge for the Kings.
When they put Draisaitl on the line too, he says that in there. Like I think the broadcast said break glass in case of emergency. That's what they do, and it doesn't provide anything for them. Draisaitl scores a goal, but it doesn't make anything meaningful. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a redirect on John Klingberg's shot from the point. Yeah. So as Nick was saying, nothing was pretty, and goals don't have to be pretty in the playoffs. But to his point, you're not really generating the offense that this team is expected to generate. I think maybe the offense is putting more pressure on themselves because of the goaltending. Like, what is Stuart Skinner going to do tonight? Well, he got pulled. I mean, there you go. It's just not good enough. And so for Edmonton, they're in dangerous water. I think the saving grace maybe for the Oilers, Kings on the road. Let's see what they've got. Home ice, we know that they're pretty much untouchable, and they have home ice advantage in this series. But let's see what Edmonton can do back on their home ice and see if they can make it a series, because the Oilers, they're good enough to make this a series. But what we've seen in these first 2 games, it's been Kings reigning supreme, Cam.
12 goals given up in 2 games. That defense is not going to get them anywhere near the Stanley Cup final. In fact, it most likely will not get them out of the series if that's how it continues to be.
Cam, one more point.
Yeah.
One more point. Let me throw this in there.
Please.
Not as good as your stat earlier. Not as good.
We'll see.
But maybe okay, like mid-level good. The Kings tie a club record. They now have 5 power play goals in 2 playoff games. That ties a playoff record for the LA Kings. Also, they have not won a series since that 2014 Stanley Cup final when they lifted Lord Stanley. So maybe they get off the schneid, win a playoff series, and then let's see where the Byfield Kings train goes in this playoffs.
They might not have the star power of some of the other teams, but they're going to be very tough to beat if they continue to play like this, and especially if they have home ice. They've been playing good game on the defensive side. Washington has done that through 2 games. They go up 2-0 in this series, but notably absent were some of their stars. Let's tell you how they pieced it together and got another victory. That is coming up next on Locked On NHL Game Night.
Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, hey, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, or in-person shopping, and entertainment, you know I love a good show. It's easy to lose track of that money. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place so you stop just managing your money and start actually building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Goals that were not scored by Connor McDavid tonight. He had no goals. But with Monarch, you can have goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
Locked On NHL Game Night. Cam Stewart here. Tyler Feldman with me as always. We've got one more game to go over tonight, and it was not the high power offense that we saw out in LA. It was some good old fashioned defensive East Coast hockey. Montreal at Washington. We saw the Habs put up quite a fight in game 1. They send the thing into overtime after being down 2-0. They score first in this one. Nice little greasy, grimy playoff goal. And then it's kind of all Washington after that, and mostly on the defensive end.
Cam, can we get you to say greasy, grimy with the same hand motion?
Greasy, grimy. I feel like Jim Carrey is the Grinch. This is why you guys need to watch on YouTube. But we'll be okay.
Somebody is closer.
It was like that greasy area of the ice, they crashed the net. And then after that, it's technically 3 unanswered. 1 goes in on an empty net with like 0.7 seconds left. That's becoming a theme of the postseason. And the Caps win it 3-1. They take the 2-0 series lead. Dan Holme of Locked On Caps is one happy guy.
The Capitals down the Habs by a score of 3-1 as the Capitals take a commanding 2-0 lead in the series as it heads out to Montreal for the next 2 games. Hi, this is Dan Holme of Locked On Capitals. Well, if you're an everydayer of the show, I've talked about the Capitals needed to make the most of their opportunities at Cap One. What did they do? They take game number 1 and 2, taking that positive momentum as they head to Bell Center on Friday. This game was won in large part tonight based on the excellent netminding of Logan Thompson. A lot of questions surrounding LT. What kind of Logan Thompson were we going to see based on the fact that he missed a substantial amount of time, saved 25 of 26 tonight. And the Capitals avoided a lot of the extracurricular activities that we saw in the first game. There was the Wilson and Anderson back and forth. And to be clear here, the Capitals out-hit the Habs 30-23, but not a lot of the extra activity behind the net, that kind of thing. And a great night for Connor McMichael, scoring 2 goals in this game. Has had a breakout season, putting up career numbers. Also, Dylan Strome finds the back of the net as well. And another good storyline in this is Ryan Leonard, who has not done a whole lot in his time with the Capitals. Got a point tonight with 3 shots on goal. The Capitals hope to make it 3-0 as they take on the Habs on Friday night in Montreal.
So on a night where we lose Pro Football Hall of Famer, Texas Longhorn legend, Steve McMichael, it's Connor McMichael, no relation that we know of, who steals the show on the offensive side. He gets 2 goals. But really, Tyler, the story of the game's got to be Logan Thompson.
Logan Thompson, 25 saves. He was terrific. He was at his best in the third period, too. Just his second game back as well. He robbed Josh Anderson with 10:59 left on that 2-on-0 breakaway. And then later, he had that stick deflection on Dvorak, and then the LT chance just come hammering home. And he deserved it because he played fantastic. Dylan Strome postgame said, quote, he was unbelievable. And yeah, he was unbelievable. And hey, on the other end of the net, Sam Montembeault for Montreal, I mean, he was strong in defeat. He had 29 saves. He kept the Canadiens in this game. The goaltending, this is just what you expect come this time of the year. Logan Thompson, the star of this game. With this Washington team, I think the biggest storyline, though, is they were able to do it without production from Alex Ovechkin. Not a single point. He had just 2 shots tonight. He was -1 on the stat sheet. So you take the grade 8 out, and the Capitals still get production. That is a big win for Washington, up 2-0. And now Friday's game 3. I can see this being a sweep.
It could be. It could be. But if there's one source of hope for Montreal Canadiens and their fans, Ian Blaver of Locked On Canadiens has that source. This is what's going to get Montreal back in the series.
The Montreal Canadiens in Game 2 did what they did in Game 1 against Washington. They made it interesting, especially late, but it was not enough. Montreal falls in Washington in Game 2 by a score of 3-1, 2-1 with the empty netter, 2 goals from Connor McMichael. Ian Blaver, Locked On Canadiens here, coming to you immediately after Montreal dropped the second game in Washington, the first 2 of the series by a score of 3-1. It was a game that Montreal led. They scored the first goal in this game and at times looked like they were taking the play to Washington. But after scoring the first goal of the game, Christian Dvorak got his. The Canadiens gave up 2 goals in rapid succession within a minute of one another, and that was sort of the story of this game. Look, though, the X factor in this series is the Bell Center. If the Canadiens can come back home on Friday night in Game 3 and take one at home at the Bell Center in front of that crowd who has not been a full crowd at the Bell Center for a playoff game since 2017. So look, that could be the breaking point in this series, but Montreal's they have some work cut out for them if they want to get back in this series. Stick with us, Locked On Canadiens, the rest of the way. We'll have you covered this series and for the rest of the summer.
Doesn't matter if. Go ahead.
Well, there's the Bell Center. I knew it was going to come.
I told
full
you it was going to
circle.
come here. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
And look, and speaking of that, whether the Habs are the 1 seed or in this case the 8 seed, that building in the playoffs is as good as it gets. I mean, they're not wearing suits anymore like they did to the Forum. That is the best building when that place is going. So maybe that is the X factor for Montreal to get back in this. As we wind things down here on Locked On NHL Game Night, Tyler, we're each going to give a star of the night. We're running low on time, so real quick, give us your star, 1 or 2 sentences, why this is.
My star of the night, the Los Angeles Kings power play. And we talked about it earlier, 5 power play goals on 9 tries in just 2 games. They tie a franchise record with those 5 power play goals in just 2 playoff games. They've been impressive. That's been the difference in that series. 2-0, the Kings on top of the Oilers, thanks in large part to their power play operating at a greater than 50% completion rate.
It's pretty good. I thought about giving mine to the Stars penalty kill. I mean, killing off a 4-minute double minor power play or penalty going into overtime is pretty huge, but I'll just give him a stick tap and I'll give my star of the night to Logan Thompson. 25 saves. We talked about it last time. Just didn't know how long it was going to take him to get into the feel of things after being out for the last 3 weeks of the season. Looked some signs of rust in Game 1, but he was still pretty good, pretty solid in that one. He was excellent in this game tonight. He and Montembeault, to your point, were both great. And Logan Thompson, if he's playing like that and with the Caps playing team defense like that, that is why they can go a long way, maybe even more so than having the grade 8 on their roster. So Anyway.
That's a good pick. And real quickly, talking goaltenders, we really haven't talked Jake Ottinger at all tonight. And the guy was pretty
fantastic.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Only gave up a goal. And I want to apologize to Dallas Stars fans for us not talking about him during that segment, but he had a great night as well, and was a big reason why they've won back-to-back games in that series.
Hey, one of us has officially picked them to be in the Stanley Cup final, so I'm not apologizing for anything. But yes, Otter did not look himself the first two games, and towards the back end of the regular season as well. He definitely looked that way tonight. Looked much, much better. Looked like the Otter we know, the Boston University Terrier that we know. That is the night that was in the NHL. So make sure, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date on everything we're doing here on YouTube and, of course, wherever you get your podcasts as well. I want to thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network a part of your daily routine. And I need you to remember that you can join us 7 days a week for all the NHL scores
I was like, what are you?
and storylines from your local experts and the meatheads like us. For Tyler Feldman, I'm Cam Stewart, and this has been and will be tomorrow Locked On NHL Game Night.